Hello. This is our several weeks later. We're doing Immigrants Speak program. I'm so grateful. There are so many immigrants from all over the world now discovered our platform to come to tell their stories, and they are very, very worried about their new country, America's current affairs and status, and they all want to come out to tell their stories. So courageous, and I hope you watched the previous few weeks. I have immigrants from former Czech Republic and from the Eastern Africa countries and China. And I think next time I will have somebody from Hong Kong. I also had a great Dr. James Lindsay on my show with Xi Van Fleet. We talk about cultural Marxism. And so today I have a very special guest for you. And this is the first time I invited a Falun Gong practitioner originally from China. And she has lots of followings, and she has been outspoken and talking about the persecution of Falun Gong, basically a Buddhist and religious, peaceful group who practice Falun Gong for health reasons. So I'm going to let her come in and introduce herself. Hi, Jennifer. How are you?
Hi, Lily. I'm very good. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, thank you for taking the time to join me. I know your YouTube channel is pretty big, and your Twitter has lots of followings, and you have your book. You have been, very courageous to speak the truth to the entire world. From China to Australia, from Australia to America, and I had the pleasure to meet you in person. In New Hampshire, so and we both actually are from Sichuan province. It's there are lots of Sichuan province ladies, working together to speak, and the truth is just unbelievable. It's a small world actually, and
yes.
so for our audience to get to know you better, and please tell people about your background.
Okay, hello. My name is Jennifer Zeng. I was born in China, Sichuan province, as Lily said, in the year 1966. So that was the year when the Chinese Cultural Revolution began. And my father, because he was a so-called intellectual, so he was persecuted and sent to a very remote town and separated from my mother. So I had a very hard, you can say, childhood. I grew up in that very small little town, which has only a very small population, and separated from my mother. I lived with my father. And anyway, after the Cultural Revolution ended, my father was moved back to a bigger city and worked in the legal area of China. And I was able to follow him to enter a very relatively good high school. Then I was lucky enough to be admitted by one of the top universities in China, which is Beijing University. So I studied science, geochemistry in Beijing University there for 7 years. So I got a Master of Science. And also interestingly, I was somehow brainwashed by the party to join the CCP. Actually, I joined the CCP in university. So I became the first female CCP member in my class. Anyway, after I graduated from Beijing University, that was 1991. I was again lucky enough to be able to enter one of the best institutions, you can say, in China. That was the Research and Development Center of the State Council. So this is the highest level government policy consultant and research institution. So at that time, we did policy studies for the government. We gave our opinions, and sometimes I even wrote speech for the then Chinese premier for him to read in the United Nations. Yes. So
wow.
So anyway,
great job, right?
Yes, I think so. So I can say I was considered as very lucky, very successful young woman back then in China. So, but somehow my bad luck began in 1992 when I gave birth to my daughter. I encountered a very unfortunately, you can say, a medical accident. I lost a lot of blood twice, and so I almost died because of that. And then because of blood transfusion, I caught hepatitis C. Then for years, I lied in hospital. I was separated from my daughter. I couldn't work. I couldn't look after my daughter. I couldn't even witness the growth process of my daughter. I remember, children grow very fast when they're small. So after 1 month after I was in the hospital, they gave a picture of my daughter. She was sent to live with her grandmother during the time when I was in the hospital. And I saw so much grown-up girl that I saw her last time. I felt so sad. I cried because I couldn't not only look after her, I couldn't even witness her growth as a mother. So that was several very miserable years. I lost all the hope towards the life because the doctor told me then the science or doctors were even unable to separate the Hep C virus from the blood, let alone find some medication to kill the virus. So that disease at that time was declared incurable. So I spent several years in hospital. I spent a lot of money. I tried everything I could, or every most advanced method to try to cure my illness, but nothing worked really. And my good luck returned again in 1997 when my sister and my mother they were still back in Sichuan province. Somehow they heard about the practice Falun Gong you mentioned from their friends, so they started practicing it. So after only 1 month of practicing, they felt this practice is so wonderful. So they sent a set of Falun Gong books to me to Beijing. So I got the books, I read the book, and I was deeply attracted by its, you can say, teachings or philosophy. It tells you, the highest principle in the universe is truth, compassion, and forbearance. And that's the principles you should follow in your daily life. And you can do 5 sets of gentle exercises in the park, and everything is free with this practice. You can just go to a park to try to somebody practicing it and learn from them. And you can do it either in the park with other people or do it by yourself at your home. So I started practicing and I recovered very quickly from my...
How long did it take you to immediately feel the benefits of a practice?
I think in less a month, because after practicing for 1 month, it happened to be the time, at that time I still work for the Development Center of State Council. So every year our workplace organized you can say yearly routine physical checkups for all the employees. So I got a checkup and I found all my, you have all those indications, the reports, everything is good with me. So I don't have any illness then, only just 1 month. So it's like a miracle to me. And I could feel my energy recovered. I was so easy to get tired before, but now I was full of energy. I even, bike to work every day for 40 minutes.
Wow.
At that time, actually, my workplace, they gave a car to me. Not really a car, but they have a driver to pick me up to work. And I thought, now because I'm full of energy, I'd rather bike to the workplace. So the change was very, very obvious. I feel like a new person. Yeah. So and
because I'm not a Falun Gong, I never practiced. So could you give us a little what you did every day and as just routine to make you feel good?
There are 5 sets of exercises, so you can do them together. If you do them all together, I can give you the website of Falun Gong, and everything is free. You can download all the books and exercise music, and there's also a video instruction to teach you how to do it. So the website is falundafa.org. It's FALUNDAFA.org, falundafa.org. So you can
go like a meditation, like yoga, like what?
Yes, very much like yoga and Tai Chi. So 5 sets of exercises. If you do them all together, it spends maybe. Actually, it's relatively flexible. For the meditation, you can do 1 hour, or you can do half an hour, or you can even do 10 minutes, depending on how much time you have. So it's relatively very flexible. The other 4 exercises, like there's a stance exercise, that the time is also, if you have time, you can do half an hour or 15 minutes. And the other 3 standing exercise, each of them take 10 minutes. So you can do them separately.
To choose. Yeah, it's up to you.
You can do them separately. If you have 10 minutes, you can do one set, and then maybe if you want to take a break from your work, you do another set for another 10 minutes, and in the night or in the morning, you have a little bit more time. You can do the meditation maybe for half an hour, 40 minutes. So it's relatively flexible, and you can, work around according to your own schedule. So
my
that
father
was,
even got into Qigong because he had
uh-huh.
some issues. He got into Qigong before he came to the United States. And so he told me a little bit. So how long did this good luck you enjoyed last? Because I think that's like 1999 or something. Then
Yes.
the CCP government start to crack down. So what happened after 97 to 1999?
Yes. They, like you said, the Falun Gong was founded and first introduced to the public in 1992. So I started maybe like 5 years after it's already spread in China. So in 1999, because like I said, the health benefits was so obvious and it's totally free. It costs $0 to learn it. So many people were learning it, and people eagerly introduce it to their families, to their friends. Like I got it from my family, and after I practiced, I virtually introduced it to every co-worker of my company, of my workplace, because I want everybody to benefit. So in only 7 years, and the Chinese Communist Party, the CCP, did an investigation about how many people are practicing Falun Gong before 1999. Actually, I think they started to take notice because China, is a very strictly controlled society. If so many people are doing something together, they get worried. So from actually 3 years before the official persecution, that's in 1996, they already sent, police to pretend that they also want to learn Falun Gong. They mix into Falun Gong practice.
Oh, so they infiltrated into the group?
Yes, and they try to find out what these people are doing and what they're up to. Do they have any anti-government agenda or that sort of thing? So they're throughout, because Falun Gong is very interesting. It doesn't have a membership. It doesn't have a roster. It doesn't keep people's names. So if you ask, we don't know how many people are practicing Falun Gong in China because there's no membership, no organization. Everybody can just go to a park, do it, and then leave. And nobody will ask, where do you come from? Nobody will ask you to register, right? But they try to do their own investigations through the public security system. And so
they're a threat because lots of people are practicing.
Yes, so at that time, if you go to the park in the morning, like I rode a bus to work during that time, and every big mall, there are a relatively large square in front of the mall, shopping mall. There were people doing Falun Gong, and if you pass through a park, there are people doing Falun Gong. So for people doing Falun Gong everywhere. So they got worried. So they did a survey, and their estimation was there were 70 to 100 million people.
More than Communist Party members, I heard.
That was the real problem. Yeah, at that time, I think they have less, maybe some 60 million CCP members. So they thought, wow, if they have more members than us, and if somebody within Falun Gong stand up saying, oh, let's get rid of the CCP, they would be a big trouble. So although through the 3 years of investigation, they didn't find anything wrong with this organization because we don't charge people for money. We didn't register people's names. It's just we help each other. If you are new, you come here.
Grassroots,
I teach grassroots. And everybody volunteer to teach the newcomers. So it's just, people introduced through mouth of words. So they couldn't find anything wrong with this. So that's why it took them 3 years to finally decide it is getting too big.
So what happened? I heard you did something during that time.
Yeah.
You had some kind of peaceful protest, and that just really scared Jiang Zemin's regime when Jiang Zemin was president.
Yes, that was actually happened in 1999. That was 3 months before the official crackdown. So the thing happened was they were already prepared to start cracking down on this group. So they actually first arrested some 45 Falun Gong practitioners in Tianjin city. They initially held, He Zuoxiu, he is the brother-in-law of Luo Gan. Luo Gan is a CCP Politburo member. So he purposely wrote a very banned article to attack Falun Gong, and he made a lot of lies again about Falun Gong. So Falun Gong practitioners in Tianjin said, "Oh, you badmouth us, you attack us, and you say wrong things about us." They say, "Oh, he knows 9 people who committed suicide after practicing Falun Gong." That's absolutely not true, because Falun Gong is not only against suicide, it's even against taking any form of life. You are Buddhist, Buddhists don't take any lives. We don't kill any animals. We don't kill anything. Even if I think some monks even don't want to step on ants when they walk.
They eat vegetarian. They don't eat the meat. If you're a monk,
yes,
they eat the meat. Yeah.
So that article told so many lies about Falun Gong. Of course, Falun Gong practitioners go to the publication, the magazine which published the article, and telling them that this article about Falun Gong is wrong. Could you publish a true story of us? Could you interview us? Let us tell you what we think about Falun Gong. We are the ones who are practicing it daily. But somehow the police in Tianjin city arrested 45 Falun Gong practitioners and beaten up them very badly. So the word is, Tianjin is very close to Beijing, less than 100 kilometers or something. So because, like I said, it was estimated at that time there were some 400,000 people in Beijing practicing Falun Gong. So out of this 400,000, 10,000 decided we want to go to Zhongnanhai. There's the so-called appeal office in Zhongnanhai to appeal and to ask the CCP to release the arrested Falun Gong practitioners in Tianjin and to ensure a peaceful and legal environment for we to practice our you can say our practice. And we do believe in truth, compassion, and forbearance. So about 1,000 people show up surrounding the Zhongnanhai, that is the government compound, the central government in Beijing. And like you said, the whole process was very, very peaceful. We didn't, I was there too, personally, I was there on that day. So we didn't shout out any slogan, we didn't have any banners, we just stood on the street a whole day without, create any chaos. Even, there were a lot of policemen, they walk around, they threw cigarette butts on the ground. We even pick up their rubbish for them. So after we leave, we didn't leave any trash on the ground. We pick up everything. So the ground was totally clean.
Did you hold the signs? Did you chant?
No, nothing. We just stand there. Everybody I was just reading my book because I can't.
How long did you stay there the whole time?
Yeah, the whole time. And at that time, the then Chinese premier was Zhu Rongji. He actually came out. He said, "Oh, you have so many people here. What they're here for? Can you send several representatives to inside?" So several people said, "Oh, I can be the representative because we don't have a organization, but some people there, they volunteer to be the representative of Falun Gong." So they went inside. They had a very good talk with the then premier Zhu Rongji. So during the talk, Zhu Rongji so he said, "Hey, I didn't know that the Tianjin Falun Gong practitioners were arrested." So he ordered to have those arrested Falun Gong practitioners released. And so about 9 o'clock, we were told the issue was solved, so we can go home now. So everybody just left.
You were there whole day until this is resolved.
After we heard the word that it was resolved. So at that time, I heard that on the following day, international media actually reported about this incident, because although we were very peaceful, but that was the first large-scale like protest, or if you call it a protest, we call it an appeal after Tiananmen massacre. So that drew a lot of international attention. But after this affair ended very peacefully, I think some international media even praised the government for being able to handle this issue very well, and it didn't went into any chaos, and there's no violence whatsoever. So we thought the issue could end there if they just allow us to continue to do our thing in the park. We didn't harm anybody, we didn't bother anybody, and we didn't have any political agenda. But somehow, Jiang Zemin I think, and also Luo Gan, I mentioned before, he was a top CCP member, and he wants to create some political achievement for himself. If he found a big enemy of the party and he suppress this enemy, he get rid of the enemy, that's a political achievement for himself. So somehow he took Jiang Zemin, I heard. They took a car, they drove through, when we were still there, they drove through the street, and they saw so many practitioners. And he tried to convince Jiang Zemin, these people are very dangerous. They were suddenly here, so many people out of nowhere, and they are so highly disciplined. They are so highly organized. Actually, we don't have any organization. We just there naturally stand there, and everybody very naturally, because we practice truth, compassion, forbearance. We naturally want to consider others. We don't want to block the streets, block the traffic. We maintain very well good orders. But they regard this as terrible, as dangerous.
Because it's always like when they say large number of people get together,
and we are so
they
disciplined.
say you're a threat.
Yes, so they say, oh, these people are terrible because they couldn't understand us, because they don't understand, or they don't believe there are a group of people who just really want to be a good person, because this is a requirement of practice in Falun Gong. We do believe if you want to enjoy good health, you'll be a good person first. You have a good heart, you'll be good to others, you'll be good to yourself, and you have a harmonious mindset, you relax, so you have a good health. So it's everything goes in total, that's why it's become very natural for us to try to behave ourselves wherever we are, and we were asked to consider others under any circumstances. So if we consider others, of course we would be disciplined, like we behaved very orderly. So that was also something frightened the CCP, because they say thieves, they say bad people, but they've never seen so many good ordered people. So that's what because they couldn't understand us.
So let me ask you, how long did that take you to feel this government interference and banning? You guys got released, Zhurongji had a good meeting, and you thought it was settled, you went home. Then what happened after that?
Yeah, after that, since we went back to usual, business as usual for several months, and then I remember very clear that on July 20th, the same year, 1999, that was about less than 3 months after that incident, in the very early morning, I suddenly received a phone call from a fellow Falun Gong practitioner who did the practice in the park. So we became friends. He said he just learned the CCP had started arresting all Falun Gong they call assistant, because in the park there were some they regard those are the head of Falun Gong, because they organize people to do the practice together. Although we don't have any formal organization, but you still have somebody to say, hey, let's start from 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock. So they are the volunteers of the practice side. So on July 20th, they arrested these so-called assistant or volunteers of Falun Gong practitioners throughout China and all together. So and they said they plan to crack down on Falun Gong, and already got so many volunteers in 18. I heard 18 provinces got arrested. So he said, I want to go to the Zhongnanhai appeal office to appeal for Falun Gong again and ask them not to crack down on Falun Gong, because we are good people. So he asked me, do you want to go as well? I said, oh, yeah, of course. I remember that was a Tuesday. I still need to work, but I said maybe I can just go to take a look if and then I can go to work from there. So I went there very early. It's only 6 or 7 in the morning, but this time is totally from the day on April, because we were allowed to stand on the street for a whole day, right? But this time the CCP had already well prepared. The police car were all over the street, and before we were actually able to approach to the Fuyou jail, which is outside the governmental compound, I was stopped on the street by a police officer, and he just directly asked me one question: are you a Falun Gong practitioner or not? And I said yes, because we practice truthfulness, compassion, and forbearance. So the first thing is truthfulness. We are not supposed to tell a lie at any time, no matter what. So I say yes. And as soon as I say yes, I was arrested. And
Wow.
they took away. I got a Falun Gong book in my bag. They took away my book and they pushed me into a big bus. And then I realized there were so many buses lining up in the street. They were well prepared. They knew from the airport experience that we could go and in large numbers. So after anyone who come, they just ask you whether you're a Falun Gong practitioner. If you say yes, arrested.
Wow.
Then,
Well, how many people got arrested that day?
that day, I heard at least dozens of thousands because and when the bus was full, they took us to a state sports stadium, sports center, which can hold 10,000 people. So I was taken to one of them, and on that day, all the sports center in Beijing were full of arrested Falun Gong
Wow.
practitioners.
So they were determined to crack this down.
Yes,
arrest
so
you.
at that time, that was on that day, they already determined to crack down. So I was detained in the sports center with thousands of other Falun Gong practitioners for a whole day. I was there, in the early morning, and when it was dark, they asked us to tell where do you live. Everybody in China have a hook. You have a hook.
Yeah, household registration.
Yeah, household registration. Where do you live? And then they call my local police station because every household have your own police station taking in charge of this area. So my police station they went to the sports center and asked everybody who belongs to this police station. We were taken back to the police station. There were several of us from the same police station. So this time we got our name registered by the police and who you are, where do you work, and that sort of thing. And then after all this was done, it was already 9 or 10 o'clock in the night. So I was released, but my name was already on their list. So 2 days later, on 22nd, the persecution officially started by a very long article to attack Falun Gong. That was 22nd of July, 1999.
The article on People's Daily or the
People's Daily, new. You know what? As soon as the propaganda campaign started, not only People's Daily, all newspapers and all TV channels.
they control all media, all press.
Even there are some like children's channel usually only play children's cartoons, and there are music channel usually only play music, right? All those channels are all used to broadcast the material to attack Falun Gong. Falun Gong is an anti-social whatever they
top-down narrative talking points.
Yes, and they made all sorts of lies about Falun Gong and to tell the people why the party have to crack down on this organization because they are this and that. They gave all the worst name to demonize Falun Gong. So from then on, the persecution first started. So that was my first arrest 2 days before the official start, and my second arrest happened in December. That day, I heard there will be a trial against the four Falun Gong practitioners who work for the Falun Dafa Association before. And I heard, as I said, they need some evidence to. They hired some lawyer, and the lawyer say whoever can go to the court trial and try to say that you. Because one of their crimes is to incite Falun Gong practitioners to go to the Zhongnanhai in April. So that will be their crime. I said I want to there to testify that I go there on my own decision by myself. I wasn't incited by anybody.
You were pretty brave then.
Yes.
Did you have your job at that time?
Yes, I still have had my job. So I wanted to go to the court to attend the court trial and to testify that I wasn't incited by anybody, and I want to defend Falun Gong's name.
So you still trusted the party, trusted the system?
Yes, because I was still a party member then, so I still think I have I have a chance to voice my whatever I want to say. So I went to the court, but again, there were buses, police car waiting in front of the court, and as before, I was able to really reach the court. I was again stopped on the street and asked me whether you're a Falun Gong practitioner, and upon replying yes, I got arrested again, and again took to the same sports center. That was Shijinshan Sports Center in Beijing. And that day, about 1,000 Falun Gong practitioners were arrested for the same reason. And again, we were taken back to our local police station, but this time, after the local police station I was sent directly to the detention center, like in Chongwen district. And this time I was detained 48 hours and then got released. So that was my second arrest. And the third one happened in February 2000. They actually just gave me a call. I was work. I was at work, and the police called me and say, "We are in underneath your building. Can you come down? We have something to talk to you."
That's the police?
Yeah, that's the police. So I didn't know what happened. So I went down, and they got a police van waiting for me, and they took me directly to the detention center. So I was detained this time for a month. So the reason they arrested me was, there were two other Falun Gong practitioners from other city. They went to Tiananmen Square to hold a banner to protest against the persecution. They got arrested. So somehow they told the police it was I who took them to a Falun Gong people's gathering. Many Falun Gong practitioners, after the crackdown, they came from other cities to Beijing to protest against the Falun Gong. Somehow, people, before they went, we gathered. Sometimes we discussed what we should do when the government is cracked down on us. So we had a lot of such secret meetings at people's home. So after they got arrested, the police asked them, where was that meeting? They said they didn't know. It was I who took them there because they would come from other province. So the police arrested me. They wanted me to tell them where that apartment was because we meet as a Falun Gong practitioner's apartment. If I tell the police, they will arrest that Falun Gong practitioner. So I didn't tell him. That's why they didn't release me. So I was detained. That was the third time.
And then one time, that's for a few months.
Yeah, that was this time I was in the detention center for a whole month, and then I got released on bail, and then again in April. That day I was still sleeping. 2 o'clock in the morning, I was asleep at home, and this police suddenly knocked on my door, and then I opened. He entered and he arrested me for the fourth time, and without telling me any reason why I was arrested while asleep at home. Only 1 month, I think week later in the detention center, the police showed me a piece of paper saying, "Is this written by you?" And I thought that seemed like an email that they intercepted while it was sent out. The content of that email was a letter I wrote to my parents-in-law, trying to explain to them why I decided to continue to practice Falun Gong after the CCP cracked down on it. So that email somehow, when it was sent out, the internet police intercept that email, and because there was my name on that letter.
So after the crackdown, nobody could be allowed to practice. It would be illegal.
Yes.
And they got your email to prove you're still practice because you want to be healthy.
Yeah. Actually, they didn't say I'm still practice. They say the crime written on. They later on sentenced me to not sentence. There's no trial. They just sent me to a labor camp. Labor camp is supposedly administrative punishment, so there's no legal process. So on my labor camp decision, it says my crime was I use internet to incite, to sabotage the state law, because like you said, the state law says now it's illegal to practice Falun Gong. Actually, there wasn't such a law. It's just CCP articles in People's Daily. But in an article in People's Daily and the party directions are above law in China. You don't need a law.
Oh, yes. Well, there's no rule of law in China.
Falun Gong is banned, you're banned. If the party says you're not allowed to practice Falun Gong, then you are not allowed. So because of that, later I was said I was using internet to sabotage the state law or something, and then I was sent to the labor camp for 1 year.
What do you do in labor camp there? Just manual work every day?
Three part of things.
How do your health handle that?
Oh, I think I consider myself pretty lucky to be able to survive all the torture in the labor camp. So on the first day we were there, the first sound I heard was the crack of the electric baton. They used the baton on anyone who we were, and another sound is squat. We were immediately forced to squat with our head, looking down, and our feet and our hand put like this, and we were forced to squat under the sun motionlessly for 15 hours. Who couldn't endure, you can try it. I bet you can't actually stay motionlessly like this for
Nobody
minutes.
could do that for 15 hours. You collapse.
Yes, so that's why many people fainted away, especially elderly ladies. There was an old lady, I think in her 60s. So she couldn't, she passed out, and they applied electric batons on her to wake her up so that she can continue to squat there. So from day one is endless torture, because police told us the only purpose for us to be sent to the labor camp is to get us transformed or reformed. In Chinese, is 转化, which means we must give up our
Re-education. You got to change your thoughts.
We must change our mind about Falun Gong. We must agree with the party that Falun Gong is evil, Falun Gong is banned, and it is a great decision to crack down on Falun Gong. And we were victims of Falun Gong. We have to agree with whatever the party says about Falun Gong. If we don't, they torture us. And the police were given a so-called transformation or reform ritual. They have to reform about 95% of us. If they can't reach their quota, they lose money, they got fined, they could even lose their job. So the police forced the real criminals in the camp. There were thieves, robbers, drug dealers, and even some murderers. They force those real criminals to torture us. If they torture us into, writing up a guarantee to say, I will give up Falun Gong, they can be released ahead.
So those thugs were allowed to join police force to torture people?
Yes. I think on the fourth, on the second or third day in the labor camp, because I asked for a piece of paper to write my appeal, because they didn't give me any chance. In theory, I can appeal my labor camp decision, but they didn't. As soon as they gave me the decision, they sent me to a labor camp. Usually,
nobody had any defense, nothing.
No, yeah, I asked for a piece of paper to say I want to write up appeal my labor camp decision. That was allowed by their own regulation, right? But I was denied this right. When I said I want to ask, I want a piece of paper, I want a pen to write appeal, the police, two of them, dragged me into the courtyard, threw me on the ground, and applied 2 electric batons on me until I lost my consciousness. I didn't know for how long, but because they use so much, electric power, whatever, so I passed out. And after I woke up, they asked a prostitute watch over me, and again asked me to squat like this under the sun. And whenever I moved a little bit, she kicked me on my body.
Wow.
And she told me the police gave her the right to torture me as much as she liked. So that basically endless torture to give a confession from us, a promise from us to give up Falun Gong, and then endless forced labor, slave labor. We got up at 5:30 every morning, and we work until midnight. Sometimes we work overnight without any sleep, so that our products can catch the train from other countries. All the products we made, most of them were hand-knitted sweaters, hats, scarves, cushions, those sort of thing. So endless slave labor. And another very important thing is wait to be killed for our organs.
Do you know about anybody who got tested and who taken out to give their organs?
Everybody was tested, including myself. Only we didn't know the purpose. So on the day when we were taken from the detention center to the labor camp, we were first taken to a clinic first to undergo a thorough physical checkups. So I didn't know what's the purpose. I thought it was just a routine. So the doctor integrated me about my medical history. I told him I had hepatitis C before I practiced Falun Gong. So later on, I thought perhaps it was because of this I was exempted from becoming a victim of organ harvesting. Obviously, if I had hepatitis C, I'm not qualified as an organ supplier or donor. So that was the first day, and about 1 month after we were already in the labor camp, suddenly one day, that was a very terrifying scene. A bus came into the labor camp, and we were handcuffed, two of us handcuffed together with one pair of handcuffed, and stuffed into that bus, and they blocked the window of the bus, so it became a black box. We couldn't look outside, so they used this black box to transfer us, taking us to a bigger hospital outside of the labor camp. So this time we were even gave X-ray checkups
to see everything,
to see if our lung is good enough. So and then inside the labor camp, one by one, they had someone, in a small clinic room inside the labor camp, and we were called, maybe 3 of us in one group, go there and have blood taken. They test our blood. But we were never told the purpose of those tests, and we were never
Let me
shown
ask you
the
this
results.
question. I always wanted to find out. Do you think, in your opinion, did they, harvesting, killing people for organs, did that happen already existed by the time they cracked on Falun Gong, or actually all those political prisoners of conscience inside of called the political, dark prisoners, gave them the idea, oh, what do we do with all those people who practice Falun Gong? Oh, we could keep them there until we could use them for this. So you think that's when they started to commit this crime against humanity? It's like, oh, we got all those practitioners. Some are very young, very healthy. Now we got all the supplies of fresh organs. You think it started that time?
Yes, I do believe so.
The Chinese don't like to donate the organs, because they want to be whole.
Yes, before the crackdown of Falun Gong, the practice of harvesting organs from prisoners, death row prisoners, already happened. But of course, on that time, on a scattered circumstances, there were not that many people, but it did happen before the crackdown of Falun Gong. So at that time, mostly it's the death row prisoner. If you are sentenced to death, they think if you are going to die anyway, why not use your organs, you do some contribution to the society. So because I think the CCP only they don't admit the existence of people's soul. They don't admit or recognize the existence of God, of afterlife, of paradise or hell. They think everybody is a piece of meat. If you die, you are just a piece of meat. So there's nothing wrong if we cut.
They also believe everybody belongs to the state. There's no need for permission from the family either.
Yeah,
you are slaves of the state.
Yeah, they are the property of the state. So if you date, you are just a piece of meat. If there's nothing wrong, we take out a smaller piece of meat from you. So then already this practice of harvesting organs from death row prisoners already happened before the crackdown of Falun Gong. Yes, like you said, after the crackdown of Falun Gong, the prisoners suddenly the numbers increased by tens or 100 of times. Like in the labor camp I was detained, that is Beijing female labor camp. Usually there are only 100 female prisoners in that camp. But after the crackdown of Falun Gong, within only several months while I was there, the number grew from 100 to 1,000. So suddenly, like you said, so many fresh people coming and young, healthy, and they have such a hard time to try to so-called transform us. They torture us so bad, but we still don't give up. So maybe later on they figure, oh, why don't we bother transfer them? We can just use them as organ supply. We make money and we just keep them and there. And when anybody need an organ, we kill one and we sell the organ. I think that's why they started to test everybody's blood type so they can.
Also, I heard that the party officials, high level, if they're old, they're not healthy, they have organs like liver problem, kidney problem, they cannot get a promotion. So now you have a guaranteed pool of fresh organs, to give to them. Then they can continue stay healthy and move up in the party. So it's unbelievable.
Yeah. So if you look at even the official number, the transplant number, like before the crackdown Falun Gong, it's like this, but after 1999, it suddenly jumped to maybe 10 times higher than before the crackdown. So the crackdown of Falun Gong gave the CCP a very huge boost of their organ transplant industry. And since then, there were maybe 10,000 or some say 60,000 or 100,000 transplants every year in China. So they arrested Falun Gong practitioners. Then they figured, oh, maybe Falun Gong practitioners, the young ones already got killed. They then expand this practice to Uyghurs in Xinjiang and to other prisoners of conscience. And now even ordinary citizens can get kidnapped, disappeared. Because I think for the prisoners, only the official system have the right to go to the prison to get one to kill them. But for some like private person, just an ordinary somebody who wants to make some money, he can only adopt, kidnap some kids on the street to sell their organs. So now this practice is so widespread. Like a while ago, there was a very famous case, high-profile case, like a high school student disappeared from his school. He's a boarding student. He's 15 years old. And everybody in China, believed he was killed for his
lots of people disappear in China, especially younger kids.
So
parents are terrified.
Yeah, it started with Falun Gong practitioners. Now I think virtually everybody could become a victim, because once you started it, once you start making money, you just want to make more money. Nobody can stop it.
Well, yeah, they're addicted to their money. They have no value for human rights, human life. So why not continue? I'm just glad the world is waking up to see this crime against humanity. U.S. House just passed a bill to, actually to really crack down the forced organ harvesting. And since our time is getting up, would you mind to stay? Then we'll come back for part 2. And so tell people where they can go to follow you and find your stories and your book and your YouTube channel.
Yes, my YouTube channel, like you can see in my background, called Inconvenient Truths by Jennifer Zeng. And my website is Jennifer Zeng Blog. That's my name, Jennifer Zeng Blog, oneword.com. So if you go to my website, all my social media link is on my website. You just click the link, or you just search for my name, Jennifer Zeng. Any social media platform, you will be able to find me there.
Thank you so much, Jennifer. What a heartbroken story. And when we come back, let's talk about your escape. And you had to take a long journey to, leave China for Australia as a political refugee, then eventually come to United States and to have this opportunity to speak the truth and to wake up the people in the West about this, crime against humanity by the CCP regime. Lots of people might not realize that, and they don't call out their human rights abuses. But the way the people who suffered under the regime, we have the duty to speak the truth. So otherwise, how about the people who are silenced, who have no voices, who are still in the prisons? They have no voices. So we are here. We have the chance to speak for them. So we must continue. And so we will come right back for the part 2 with Jennifer Zeng. Thank you, Jennifer.
Thank you, Lily.